time, there was a girl and a boy. The girl's name was Olive and the boy's name was Anthony. Olive and Anthony just met, and they thought they knew each other well, but there was something about Olive that Anthony didn't know. Anthony didn't know that Olive was already in a previous relationship, and she had been for 3 years with his dad, who was 30 years older than her.
All right, that like this is coming through. We all.
They met when she was in the 4th grade. Anthony's dad was recently divorced for the 3rd time. Anthony's dad was Olive's favorite teacher, but Anthony had a secret of his own. His secret was that he was a vampire. He is the reason that Olive's mom is dead, and ever since her mom died, she has been trying to find the killer. So little does Olive know that she is falling in love with a man that killed her mother. They are trying to keep their own secret, but only one person knows everything. The dad suddenly vanishes. He was getting threats from the one who knew all, so he disappeared. The one who knew all was the wise grandma that lived in the basement. She told Anthony's dad that if he didn't leave town, she would expose them all as vampires. But first she wanted him to bite her so she would live forever. One night, Olive went to go find Grandma, but she got really drunk first and got in a car accident. So they rushed her to the hospital, and Anthony stood by her side. She was in a coma and had a dream that her mom wasn't dead because she was not. Then Olive's mom reappears and comes to the hospital. But Olive is not getting out of her coma, so Anthony's dad bites her and turns her into a vampire. When Olive awakes from her coma, she finds out she is pregnant. And when the doctors come in, they tell her that something is unusual about her baby. It's morphing into something that can't be determined. But from the looks of it, it looked like a puppy. So they decided they would have to operate. But the operation went terribly wrong. Suddenly, Anthony and his dad show up to the hospital, claiming to be the father. Hospital claiming to be the father. So they ordered a paternity test immediately to find out the father of the puppy, and it turns out neither of them was the father of the puppy. Turns out the father was Anthony's stepbrother. Anthony's brother, Enrique, met Olive in the Cayman Islands a week before she met Anthony. Anthony and Enrique looked oddly alike. She couldn't tell who was who. The grandmother knew Anthony and what was wrong and what was going on the whole time, but chose not to say anything. Olive kept falling deeper in love with both Enrique and Anthony. So the grandma shows up at the hospital and she spills the beans about everything that has been going on. Olive is furious. She punches the grandma and ends up going to jail. The father and the son end up becoming best friends because they aren't the father of the puppy. In the jail, Olive birthed the puppy. The puppy died. Olive died while giving birth. Now the spirits clean it, so they are no longer immoral. They arrange to have a funeral for all the vampires, but when they go to bury, the bodies are gone. They go searching for the bodies and they find they were taken by wolves. The grandmother leads the pack of wolves that took the bodies. Olive wakes up from her coma to find this was all a dream.
Wow.
I don't know. We might still be in the running here.
Okay, that was the battle of the sexes from the females, and the battle of the sexes from the male love story is...
Plotline of Twilight. Step by step. That's exactly what happened. Okay, who gave me the ... line? Okay, come here. You're reading that line.
Oh, that's I am from this. Battle of the sexes on it.
All right, here we go. You're welcome, everybody. This goes on YouTube.
It is.
No. It's a little confusing. I'll put it on YouTube. On a warm midsummer's eve on the beaches of North Carolina, there was a small purple house. Nobody ever went to the house except for one spring break when a drunk couple entered. But before we go into that, let's start 2 days earlier. It all begins with a long walk on the beach when a smoking hot brunette catches his eye. The man was in awe at the sight of her and slowly started to approach. But to his dismay, the woman was drowning in water. So the heroic man quickly called the lifeguard. But he then found out the lifeguard was on his lunch break, so then he ran out to save her. Unfortunately, he doesn't know how to swim, so he starts drowning too. The lifeguard instantly finished his lunch, and he dives into the water to save them both. When he regains consciousness, he realizes it's David Hasselhoff from Baywatch. As they approach the house, Poseidon unleashes waves comparable to Omaha Beach. Despite the mayhem in front of them, the man glances over at the woman beside him and realizes he matched on Tinder with her just the day before. After this realization, they decide to go into the house and have some fun. As they stare passionately into each other's eyes, a now really uncomfortable David Hasselhoff leaves to go save someone else. The couple goes upstairs into the bedroom, opens the door, and finds that the room is empty. Already hot and heavy, upset that there's no bed, they romantically go at it. But what they didn't know is that it's David Hasselhoff's house, so that they hear him coming back up the stairs. They soon realize that they had to make a decision to either finish or simply stop and get out of there. They quickly decide that should David Hasselhoff find them, that he would throw them back into the sea. So they quietly leave through the back door. But before they could do that, David Hasselhoff walks in. And so did Leonardo DiCaprio. And he reminded them that this was all just a dream, and his totem was that he likes blondes and not brunettes. The man comes to, finding himself on the beach, being resuscitated back to life by a blonde man. The man quickly realizes that attempting to save the girl was not part of the dream, and she was also there conscious. As she regained consciousness, he leaned over and asked her name. She quietly told him that her name was Ashley, and she wants to bring him back to her hotel for coffee. But first, she wants to build a sandcastle with him. While they are inside the sandcastle, he bumps into a wall and it falls down on them. As the wall was collapsing on them, the girl slapped the guy and began to walk away. But before that happened, the guy quickly wakes up from his real dream back in his apartment with Inception playing in the background. Since he dreamed about coffee, he decided to go get coffee at Starbucks to see the cute barista. They've established an emotional connection over the past 3 months since he gets coffee there every day before work. M. Night, I'm going to have to stop you right there. There's no way anyone can follow this movie proposal. I just have one question for you. What are you on? That was a conversation overheard at Starbucks. As he answered the question, he looked over and saw a wardrobe in the corner. He remembers that in his coat in the wardrobe, is a letter to one of the baristas at Starbucks. He reads the letter and quickly rips it up, realizing he is going to grow some coffee beans and ask her out himself. He walks up to the counter and realizes it was the smoking hot brunette from the beach. He decided that it must have been fate, and he asked her on a date. He took her to the most expensive restaurant downtown, which happened to be our very own Skyline Chili here in Cincinnati. After Skyline, they go to the movies and just watch it. After Skyline, they go to the movies and just watch a movie. During the movie, the man looks down and reads a text message from his mom that says, "Steve Fuller, when are you coming home?" So he goes to the lobby to clear his head and sees the ghost of Stonewall Jackson standing next to a wardrobe. As he approaches the ghost, he realizes it's Helen Keller, but unfortunately she can't see him. His head successfully cleared, he turned back and walked into the theater. Happy with his return, she decided to leave the movie and go back to her place with him. She wants to put on some good music, but forgot that her autographed copy of Barry White was in the CD player, but that was successful because Barry White would be good music for movies. Concerned at the expression on his face, she said, "I hope you don't mind my 50 cats."
And he whispered,
Don't worry, I like pussy. Cats. And with that, they start wading through the gap to her room. They both anxiously dive into the bed, full of stuffed animals. But unfortunately, Steve's mother tracks them to the house to take him back to bed so that he can go to school tomorrow. Since Steve is only 14, he reluctantly leaves. At home with his mom, she confesses to Steve that he was adopted so they can act on their hidden desires. Unfortunately, the letter that he ripped up at Starbucks previously was the adoption papers, so nothing could be proven. Deciding he had enough of the day's confusion, he decided to go ahead and get a good night's rest for the next day. That night, he dreamed of Ashley again, and when he woke up, realized he was deeply in love with her. He got dressed and ran to the Starbucks and found Ashley kissing another guy. Furiously, the guy returns his coffee. As he returns the coffee, he takes it and pours it over the man's head. So Ashley calmly explains to Steve that she's actually Steve's real mother. He wakes up from his dream in a tux in a chapel because he's getting married to Ashley. He thought, wow, what a weird series of dreams. As he turns to look into his new bride's eyes, he's overcome with passion. He can't wait to get on their honeymoon to the Purple Beach House in North Carolina.